Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
Yeah, attract the best and release the rest because they're somebody else's best.
Got you. I like it.
And that's how it all works, right? That's how we all are able to contribute and to grow our businesses.
Yeah.
There's more than enough to go around. So let's make sure that we're working with the people that we should be working with and releasing those that, are probably going to be better served by somebody else. And that's totally fine.
Hello, I'm Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and your host for the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. Welcome to this week's episode as I bring in, as always, guests who are true momentum shifters. My guest today has spent 25 years crafting market research and consumer insights for Fortune 100 companies and Fortune 50 companies on the global market, such as Apple, Adobe, and Pepsi. And as an entrepreneur, she's helping other entrepreneurs reach the next level of client attraction. And she knows how hard it is to grab the attention of ideal customers and engage them and get to know them. But she's learned that by combining market research techniques with quiz funnel strategies, the art of science and asking the right questions results in profitable list building formulas. And I'm struggling through that. It's like a tough word there somewhere for me. But you know what? We're going to talk about it today, and we're going to share with the audience your story. And so I think it's going to be an awesome deal, because I've got with me today Catharine O'Leary. And as I mentioned, she's not just a market researcher. She's tabbed as the queen of quizzes. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it is the quiz queen, and it is self-appointed 100%. But after 30 years of corporate, I figure I deserved a promotion, so I gave myself
go.
one.
Hey, if you don't do it, nobody else will, right?
Right? Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
The quiz queen. We're glad to have you. I love the nickname. As the mayor of motivation, it's always great to meet the other nicknamed individuals, but there's a reason for that. You put in the work and it connects with you. There's something about your how you operate, how you operate as a person in behavior wise and just who you are value wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connects with you.
Yeah. It's a lot of it is a lot of work, but it can be a lot of fun too. So you can have some fun with yourself, and you can have some some fun with your branding.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. The queen of quizzes, quiz queen. I love it. So let's talk about this. So the show is titled Momentum Shift Podcasting for a reason. And I bring guests like you on to talk about your shifting, that moment when you decided things needed to change. But let's touch on the first question that I like to ask people. And what does momentum shifting mean to you, and how has it helped you elevate your life?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think momentum shifting to me is when you're just it's the old saying of you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Definition of insanity.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you're done with the insane.
Right.
You're done with doing the same thing over and over again, and something needs to shift. Something needs to change, whether you need to change jobs, whether you need to change your mindset, change your attitude, change your the way that you connect with people, or the way that you're connecting with the problem. That shift can change everything for you.
Right.
From and get you out of that that rut that you might be in. I think that that's where the momentum shift comes in.
Yeah, it can either set you back or move you forward, right? And our
Hmm.
goal is to move forward always. The setback
Always.
is temporary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so so you said after 25 years you decided that it was time to give yourself a promotion. At what point in time did you decide that it's time to go and why?
So it was a little bit of my decision and Pepsi's decision,
Okay.
because, I could not, apparently, Latin America was not drinking enough Pepsi and eating enough potato chips. So
Okay.
there was a reorg and a restructure, which I can't really help with. But at the time, what was happening was that I was commuting 3 hours a day to get to the office. And once I stopped doing that,
Three
I
hours a
realized I
day?
didn't want to do that again. 3 hours a day.
To and from, or is that 3 hours in the morning,
So,
3 hours in the evening?
and so in total. So an hour and a
Okay.
half in the morning and an hour and a half in the evening.
Gotcha.
Um, and I just didn't want to do that anymore, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to move.
Right.
So I took this amount of knowledge that I had, and I thought, okay, well, I'll start a business. Now I started in network marketing, which was great. It was a great, kind of first step
Yes.
into being an entrepreneur on my own. It was great products, it was great, events, it was great people. But what I found very quickly was that I was not good. In fact, let's call a spade a spade. I was terrible at lead generation.
Okay.
And I was collecting people that, just wanted to kick the tires or pick my brain, or, they weren't ready to be clients.
Yeah.
And you can only spend so much money on, paid advertising that doesn't work, so
Right.
much time on phone calls that don't go anywhere, and so much effort in trying to post, and it's going off into the virtual ether and never hearing from anybody
Right.
ever again. So I realized that if I didn't get this lead generation figured out, if I didn't figure out how to actually attract my ideal clients to me so that I could have the conversations with them about how I could help them, that I was going to be back in the car again for 3 hours a day.
Gotcha.
And I had that moment that you're talking about, the momentum shift, where
Yeah.
I was hiding under the covers trying to figure out, because I was spending more money than I was getting in. And things were getting desperate and dire. And I realized that there's not enough podcasts or audiobooks in the world to get me back in the car for 3 hours a day again. So I had to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I just, that moment where it's like A or B, and I chose B. So
Yeah.
I found quiz funnels, and with my background in market research, that made a lot of sense. And I started with my own first quiz, and I tripled my leads, and I doubled my sales. And I thought, okay, I
You're
might
on
be
to
on to
something.
something here. I um I then helped a couple of friends and that own their own businesses with quizzes. With their quizzes, they got similar results, and I haven't looked back since then, because my commute now is 7 steps,
There we go.
7 stairs.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, because that's what it is, right? It's a choice. It's the choice to
Mhm.
stay the same, or as they say on the Matrix, take the red pill or the blue pill, right?
Yep.
Open up to a whole new world. And so I like what you said there, because you woke up and you're like, I'm just gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna go back to the easy thing that drives me crazy and brings me pain. I'm gonna figure this out no matter what. And so I like it. And so how long have you been on this entrepreneurial journey again?
It's been 6 years now,
Okay.
and it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
It's work. It's a lot of being on your own sometimes, even though there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, you can feel like an island. And but I've never looked back, really, because I love setting my own schedule. I love setting my own clients, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of hard work, but it's mine, and
Yeah.
I get to, set my own rules, I guess.
You get to shape and mold it the way you want it, right? I
Exactly.
like it. And it's your concept. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so, so is it something, or quizzes something that you were attracted to outside of your, your job and your career beforehand, or is it's happenstance?
A little bit of both. I
Okay.
think I went through school. I became an economist, and so I've always studied consumer behavior. So I
Okay.
always like to understand why people pick the red car over the blue
Right.
car, even though they're the exact same car,
Right. Yeah.
except for one's red and one's blue. Like what is it that drives people to do that?
Okay.
And what about if it's a gray car and a blue car? What
Right.
happens?
And why do people
So I've
choose
always
Pepsi over Coke?
Pepsi over Coke, and Lay's over Ruffles,
Yeah.
and so I've always been curious about why people kind of choose what they choose, and kind of the levers that that make them go one way or the other, because that's what actually can help businesses create the products and services that clients really need or customers really want and need. And then what I what I had a hard time with really was when I stepped out of that corporate world, how was I going to use all that experience to create a business of my own, which is why I started in network marketing, because I had no idea how I was going to,
Right.
kind of morph market research into a business, because I didn't want to just be another market research firm. I didn't want
Gotcha.
to hang out that shingle.
You wanted something
And
different, right? A
that's
little different flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't really want to work with the people, like with the big corporations anymore.
Okay.
I wanted to work with smaller businesses and have an impact there. So it took me a little while to find my step. And I think, that's one thing that entrepreneurs need to understand, is that sometimes you got to pivot.
Yeah.
And get ready for the pivot, because it's probably going to come, and it might not be like totally changing, your business, but it might be.
Yeah.
That's what I did. So,
Right. It
being
depends
open
on how
to
you
that.
look at it, right? Right.
Mhm.
Sometimes that moment comes because it's time to make a change and you've
Yep.
been fighting it, so it just keeps coming back stronger. But if you make that change, you open your eyes up to something different. You open up a new door, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's where the momentum comes in, right? Like
Yeah.
when you take that step through, take the next step and the next step, and then
Yeah.
you're building on that change and that momentum and that positivity and the excitement, and there's something new, and that's where I think entrepreneurs can get really energized.
Yeah. So what do you think what do you think is your reason for, or I wouldn't say think, but what do you know as your reason to help entrepreneurs with this problem? What is it that really, well, I know it connects you because that's where you were, but what's the reason why?
Well, I think that so there's a lot of wasted resources, wasted money, wasted time
Yeah.
on doing marketing strategies, or paid advertising or things like that, that you're either not ready for or isn't right for your business.
Yeah.
So um and small businesses can't afford those kinds of mistakes.
Got you.
They can't afford to, spend, a Super Bowl ad kind of
Right.
expenditure, and walk away with no clients. We have to be we have to be more careful than that. So really helping entrepreneurs, survive that first, 3 years or 5 years, because it's only like 5% of new businesses that start up get past that 5-year mark, and I think that um that's something that should change. I
Yeah.
think that there's too much passion, there's too much purpose, and there's just too much need for small businesses out there um to not have more succeed
Got
beyond
you.
that 5-year mark.
Yeah. So as your what would you say is your biggest success when it comes to helping entrepreneurs shift, the entrepreneurs you've worked with and coached? What would you say is the biggest shift that you've seen of, or one of the success stories you like to share?
Yeah, I think with most of the people that I work with, it's less about the tool, which is the quiz,
Okay.
and more about igniting their curiosity
Okay.
around what their ideal clients are actually going through. Like, take a step back, like what is your ideal client really like? What are they struggling with?
Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become.
I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in their house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man.
What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You've got to get into the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
How do they say it in their words, right? Because we often think in our words and we're on the other side of the problem. So the wording isn't the same. So, get curious about, what they're talking about, where they're hanging out, what's bothering them, and how, get curious then, okay, what do you have, and how can you plug into their world, and how can you help them? Because I don't think we ask enough questions in general. I think that we go straight to solving, and offering solutions, and like, hey, you got this problem, give me your credit card, and
Right.
$5,000 later is everything solved.
It's all
And
right.
that's
Yeah.
not true. Like,
No.
that's not the way it works. So I think that if we can slow down a little bit and spend more time, and I'm not talking years, I'm saying, spend, a half an hour talking to somebody to find out really what's going on with them before trying to offer a solution, because your solution might not be for them. And that's
Yeah.
okay, right? Like,
Right.
attract the best and release the rest, because they're somebody else's best.
I like it. Say that
And
one more
that's,
time.
yeah, attract the best and release the rest, because they're somebody else's best.
Got you. I like it.
And that's how it all works, right? That's how we all, like, are able to contribute and to grow our businesses. Like,
Yeah.
there's more than enough to go around. So let's make sure that we're working with the people that we should be working with, and releasing those that, are probably going to be better served by somebody else, and that's totally fine.
Right. Yeah, I like that because we're not here for everybody, right?
No.
Yeah,
And you can't serve everybody. Like, I mean,
no.
there's no possible ways. Like, actually, you know, impossible to
Yeah.
serve everyone. So,
Yeah,
make sure that you know who you want to serve too.
that's a big one.
Be really specific. Get, like, niche. You're going to hear it a lot if you're a new entrepreneur. You got to niche down. You
Yeah.
can't serve everyone with everything,
Right.
because if you serve everyone, you serve no one.
Yeah.
So you've got to get real clear about who you want to be hanging out with.
Yeah,
Who are the cool kids at the pool?
Right.
Who do you want to be
Yeah.
hanging out with?
Yeah, that's a hard one for new entrepreneurs to see, because I know when you come in and go, who's your audience? Everybody needs this. Everybody can use
Yep.
it.
And it's probably true, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But then who do you want to work with? Because there are
Right.
people that you don't necessarily want to work with, right?
Yeah.
Like there are certain personality types, there are certain levels. Maybe you don't want to work with newbies, or maybe you don't want to work with people that have over 10 million, or
Yeah.
like whatever that is. But get real clear about what, because the clearer you are about who you serve, the easier it is to connect with them.
Yeah.
The easier it is to connect with them, the easier it is to convert them into clients.
Right.
So it's only going to help you.
Yeah. I know there was a guy that I heard that said, I don't do branding. I do rebranding. He said when branding, they're the newbies and they're trying to figure it out. They have no clue yet. I don't
Yep.
I do the rebranding.
Yep.
Know
Yeah.
your
And he's
market.
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it that when you use these quiz funnels, right? Talk to me about the process. 'Cause I think I saw it
Hmm.
outlined on your website. You had a little video or a picture
Yep.
of it. Talk to me about your process.
So basically what you're doing with you start with a question. So
Yeah.
you start with something that your ideal clients are concerned about, or they're waking, I call it the 3 a.m. question, right? So what are they
Yeah.
waking up at 3 a.m. thinking to themselves?
Okay.
That you can help them solve. So maybe it's, how do I grow my business, or how do I get more clients, or how do I you know, uh, refinance the mortgage. I don't know what is it that they're worried about, and then how can you turn that into almost like a query, almost like a, hey, do you want to discover,
Okay.
what's your money type, or what's your, um, you know, the number one thing you can be doing to get to six figures, or whatever kind of business that you have.
Right.
um how can you turn that 3 a.m. question into something that they want to learn about themselves? Because they're waking up at 3 a.m. with the problem, but what they really want is a solution.
Yeah.
So how can you draw them in with the promise of a I have an answer for this question. And then taking them through a few questions. I call it a coffee chat almost,
Okay.
where you never just say, "Oh, do you have this problem? Great. Here's the solution." Like, I mean, it's proposing marriage on the first date.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to do
It doesn't
that. You
work.
want to ask a few questions, right? So, like, how long have you been struggling with this? What have you tried? Do you have a team? What systems do you have in place? There's probably a few questions that you ask people
Yeah.
before you actually get into a solution, because you need to know what solution that you're going to actually give them. So what are those questions that you can kind of ask people, and then you can sort them into what is their biggest priority?
Okay.
Because, for example, a coach that takes people from 6 to 7 figures, right? So what's your, 7 figure, blind spot, or something like that? Maybe it's mindset,
Okay.
maybe it's technology, team, like IT systems, maybe it's teams, or maybe it's time management.
Yeah.
They all go under the umbrella of getting to a 7 figure, company, or building a 7 figure, enterprise. But what one are you really struggling with? Right?
Gotcha.
Of those four, what can I talk to you, Eric, about?
Right.
Like, maybe it's, for you, it's mindset, and maybe for Colleen, it's actually IT systems, and maybe for Robert, it's more that team.
Okay.
Everyone needs all of it,
Yeah.
but how do I meet you where you're at in
Right.
your struggle in this particular
Gotcha.
aspect? And then I can talk to you about mindset. Oh, it's all about mindset. Okay, here are a couple of things that you can do around mindset. And
Yeah.
if you want to learn more, then get on a call,
Yeah.
then go to a webinar, then go to a masterclass. Like, then you've built a little more of that know, like, and trust.
Gotcha.
You've given them something,
Yeah.
you've given them value, and then you've invited them to the next step.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you've actually had a two-way conversation at that point in time. They've gotten a little bit knowing themselves a little bit more.
Right.
You've gotten to know them a little bit more, and now you know it's a fit, so that you
Yeah.
stop attracting people that don't even have the same question
Gotcha.
to answer,
Yeah.
right? So, and then you can go on with your sales mechanism, whether that's, a sales page or a discovery call or a master class or whatever that happens to be for you.
Okay. So it's kind of as I heard a friend of mine say, it's identifying the alligator closest to the boat, and you're giving them a fix to fend that alligator off for a little bit, and then you're getting them on a call to start taking some coaching so you can get rid of the alligator, right?
That's one way to put it. Yes, I had
Yeah.
not heard that yet, but I will keep that one in mind. Yes, that's exactly
Yeah,
what
that's
it is.
the alligator closest to the boat. I get it because you can visualize that. I need to do
Yeah,
something right now to make something happen, or I'm gonna be eaten up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So what is it about market research that you just love?
Um, that's a great question. I think that I really just love asking questions and getting people to stop and think a little bit.
Okay.
Like, like, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Or, oh, you're asking me, about where I want to live, and you're giving me the option of I want to live by the lake or I want to live, by the commuting path, and I can't have both. Why can't I have both? I thought I
Mm.
could have both. And
Right.
then you're like, wait, can't I have? If I can't have both, then I don't know enough about the area, and you do. So how do I work through this? So
Yeah.
I kind of like that it sparks even more conversation and more questions
Yeah.
if it's done really well. It's like, oh, okay, so that's what I can do to fix my mindset to get to seven figures, but there's more.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to know that. I want to
Yeah.
know how, like, what else can I do? Like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what else can I learn?
Yeah. So I know there are a lot of times that I call being stuck in mental quicksand when you
Mm,
know what you need to do, when you have something that you would at least have a dream and you'd like to do, but there's that conversation you have inside of you that holds you back. You ever find yourself in that stuck in mental quicksand?
oh,
Or
all the time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, like, we are our own worst enemies at times.
yeah.
There's analysis paralysis. Like, if I just
Oh
know this
my
part of
goodness.
it, I can
Yeah.
go. Or if I just get this right, or if I just get my website up, then I can go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of getting ready to get ready to almost go to get ready to
Yeah.
then maybe go.
I like that. Hold
Um,
on. Hold on. I'm gonna ask you to repeat that one again. I love it. Say it one more time again.
there's a lot of getting ready to get ready to almost go out the door, to get your shoes on to go out the door, but not quite go out the door because you forgot something else, and then you're not even out the door yet, and then, like, there's a lot of that.
And then you're just sitting there by the door, right?
Yeah, and 20 minutes later, you're still not out the door. So,
You are so right. I know of a young man who passed away at 49, and he was going to start a barbecue company. He just needed that grill. He never purchased that grill. He's waiting on the right time. He's didn't have the money, but he had enough time to go to parties. He had enough time to buy these new shoes and new clothes and
yeah,
all the fancy stuff, but he never had time to buy that grill. And like you said, the stories we tell, right? That hold us back at sitting at the door, trying to find a
yeah.
reason not to open the door.
Which is, like, that's our limiting beliefs or our
Yeah.
imposter syndrome, or,
Right.
like, I mean, what I tell people is go out the door,
Yeah. Just go.
right? Like, find out what it's doing out there. Like,
Yeah.
like,
How do you know? How do you know how? Like I played sports all my life, and if you sit in the gym or in the practice field forever, you never know what it takes to play in a game and compete, right? You can compete in that practice level, but it elevates when you're in the actual arena and they got a game time is on, right? So sooner or later you
mhm.
got to get into it. How do you help your clients with that mindset? Well, I don't know if I should try quizzing. I was just checking it out. Just it kind of sounded interesting.
Yeah, I don't because the people that I attract to my calls and so on are I like they're already
That's
wanting to
right. You
do a
said they're
quiz.
ideal. You figured it out. Yes, that's correct. You have a
Yeah,
system.
right. So I don't talk to a lot of people that are like trying to do the, oh, I think, or maybe, or that sounds cool, tell me more.
Yeah.
Like the quiz, if my quiz has done its job, those people should have been redirected to something else, like a sales page or something,
Uh,
or to someone else because they're
yeah.
probably too new for a quiz.
Got you.
Because it's not a starter solution.
Okay.
It tends to be, a quiz works really well for people, for entrepreneurs and small businesses that have, solid offers, solid products already, started, already have a client base. It's kind of a next generation, next level marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So it's not for somebody that's just necessarily walking in and starting things up. There are easier ways to get started.
Right. So there's no, don't come in here kicking the tires. You're in the wrong place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, bless, but no, no.
Wish you well. Talk to me when you're ready.
Yeah, yeah. You're somebody else's best. Off
Yeah.
we go. Like,
Yeah. Wow. So you ever go to any events and speak and hold workshops? You,
I do.
you
Yeah,
talk
I
about the
go
programs you
to
host there?
so I tend to do a lot of networking for my business. So I go to a lot of live events
Okay.
when I can, and also virtual events. And then I connect a lot through one-on-one. My offers tend to be a little higher tickets, so they require, more of a conversation. Which is one of the reasons why the quiz works really well, because it works for that purpose fairly well. So but yeah, I'm always on summits and
Yeah.
speaking, and I do a lot of podcasting. So
Okay.
both guesting, and I'm also I have my own podcast called Kickstart the Conversation. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I heard some of it.
I'm always talking. I'm always
Yeah.
talking.
But that's cool. That's good. That's who you are, right? But you
Yeah.
gotta when you have something that you know helps people, you gotta tell it. You gotta share it, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. What kind of business person would you be if you didn't tell anybody? What do you do? Oh, it's nothing.
Well, again, that goes back to get out the door,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You gotta get out the door because you got
Yeah.
something to share, and
Yeah.
people need it. So, um, stop holding yourself back, and make sure that people can connect with you so that you can help them.
Yeah. So even though, let me ask, so even though you did this for 25 years, was there any point, I know you said you were doing the network marketing, but
Mhm.
so at any point did you feel like, did you battle with imposter syndrome?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a market research supplier going into these high, these like the Apple and the, HPs of the world, going into their boardrooms and like,
Yeah.
who is this person to be talking to us about our products,
Right.
and what the next, HP printer should look like, or what the next iTunes should look like that's, standing in front of Steve Jobs is, yeah, that's frightening.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's no joke.
Yeah. I
But
can
also,
imagine he hit you pretty hard with questions.
actually, he doesn't really talk all that much.
Oh yeah.
So, he didn't actually ask a lot of questions,
Uh,
but his people did
yeah.
a lot. So, and they were hard.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that if it's something that you love and something that you are, experienced in and expert in, then you can learn the rest of authority, I think.
Yeah. All right.
Um and um and then, you just need the clients and the testimonials, which means, again, you got to get out the door.
Yeah, yeah. So when we talk about momentum shifting, there's a point where you go from stuck to moving forward. So how do you
Yeah.
sustain that momentum? Is there a mantra or are there routines that you go through on a daily basis?
That's a great question, because one of the things that I really struggled with when I left corporate was getting into a schedule of
Okay.
any kind. Because, you
It's
know,
like,
like, oh,
I'm
I'm free.
free.
I don't have to do anything. I don't have to get up until noon. This is fantastic. I love this working for myself thing. So having a schedule, but also just being kind to yourself,
Okay.
for when, you know, when the schedule doesn't seem to work, or when you're not motivated, because it's really hard to stay motivated sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that really self-care is important, like get enough sleep, drink enough water, get outside,
Yeah.
you know, connect with nature. But I also think that the more fun you have, the easier it is to have momentum. So if you're plugged into doing something that you're loving,
Yeah.
and you love the clients that you're working with, and you love the people that you're hanging out with, and that's it's really easy to keep your momentum up.
Yeah.
The other thing I would suggest is making sure that you have a coach,
Okay.
for yourself, and then maybe a mastermind group to help you along. And that's more for accountability, and
Yeah.
just, you know, when you're stuck on some technical things or something in your business, you're not like sitting on an island. So,
Right.
you know, surround yourself with people that are going to be supportive.
Yeah. I think it's very important to talk about lack of motivation. Do you think the lack of motivation has something to do with people not understanding why they really need to do what they need to do? So their why?
I think that can be it. I think that there's a part of that. I think there's also procrastination.
Okay.
You know, like if procrastination was an Olympic sport, I'd be a gold medalist. Um, there's a little bit of procrastination. There's also doing, like, when you're a solopreneur, or when you're building a business, you're wearing all the hats.
Yeah.
And we don't love all the things, right?
Right.
Like I'm good at certain things and I hate doing other things, and you have to do it all.
Yeah.
So you tend to, you know, do the stuff you love, and then you've got this pile of other stuff that you have to get through, and that's what it feels like, and that kills your momentum. So,
Yeah.
you know, being able to have people support you, and have, you know, get a team as fast as possible is ways to kind of battle that. But yeah, you got to be connected with your why. And honestly, I think being realistic about, you know, about what you're stepping into, because it's way easier to have a job.
Yeah.
It's not as fun, in my opinion, but
Right.
it's easier.
Yeah.
And you know, all these overnight, you know, success stories that have suddenly made $7 million in 7 seconds. Well, it took them 20 years to do that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
be real careful about what you're expecting, because it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of ups and downs. It's
Right.
worth it if it's for you.
Right.
But just, I think, being a little bit more realistic about, you know, oh, you can make six figures in a weekend. Well, it actually takes 6 months to create that
Yeah.
challenge, or that summit, or that, like, it didn't happen in a weekend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no,
So,
we didn't start prepping Wednesday and then it happens Saturday.
hmm. So being a little bit realistic about what's going on and the
Yeah.
effort that it takes, because it takes, you know, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
Um and that's okay. It shouldn't be, right?
Yeah. Right.
It's for the people that have that why, and have that, you know, are in touch with that. It's still hard
Yeah.
sometimes to keep that momentum up, but there are ways that you can do it. As long as, if it's fun, you're gonna be fine.
Oh, you're gonna be all on it if it's fun. I like it. I think the
Yeah.
quiz is so as somebody who I'm a big believer that we're connecting this blank puzzle that has no pretty pattern, picture, or design. Starts right here, but we got to connect with us. And I think
Yeah.
that's huge. And I think the quizzes are part of that assessment that's going to help with that, help with being able to connect with who you are, why you want to do what you want to do, why it's important that you do what you want to do, who's on the sidelines watching you and hoping that you do, or wanting you to do what you do, or depending on you, right? So I think that's very important. I like how you incorporate the quizzes in that. So let me ask you, do you have a system? Like, do you sit down and do like quarterly goal setting and vision boards or something like that?
So again, I'm an economist by nature, by training.
Yeah.
So I love my data. right?
Yeah.
So I have my conversions and my spreadsheet open all the time.
I was
I'm
getting ready
always
to say you're a
checking it.
spreadsheet queen.
I'm a spreadsheet queen. I am. I have been for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm always checking the numbers, and checking in with, am I on track? Am I going to the right venues and the right speaker gigs and the right, am I connecting with enough people to make my revenue goals, make sense um and am I on track? I do that. I tend to look at that monthly. I
Okay.
set the goals quarterly. I tend to look at it hard monthly, but I'm in there all the time just updating things.
Yeah.
As I speak, as I have an event or, workshop or whatever. And then I always say, set your goals in cement and your timeline in sand.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
the goals you can have, but the
Yeah.
timeline is going to be wonky. Like, it's going to be
Right.
all over the
Yeah.
place. So, like, give yourself grace on the
Yeah.
timeline because it may not, happen in the 3 months. It might take 6. It might take
Yeah.
1. It might, so set your goals in concrete and your timelines in sand.
Did you ever have did you ever have any problem with putting that deadline on a goal? Because I know that was a problem for me for a long time. My coach would say, "Well, you need to put a deadline on this goal." I'm like,
Yeah.
But then I realized it's flow, it's flexible, but right, there's a reason for
Yeah.
it. So, did you ever have any problems with setting that?
Yeah, I mean, I never wanted to launch a program or start a class or anything until I had everything all prepared and I was like new. So I was the one that wasn't going out the door.
Right.
Um and I just learned that once you put that date in the calendar and one person is signed up,
Yeah.
then you're like, that's it, you got to do it. Like,
Yeah.
and that's actually what helps me keep on my timelines a little bit is that I just get 1 or 2 people signed up for that one thing. Then if 500 show up later, that's great,
Right.
but I got 1 or 2 people now that are counting on me, so I gotta deliver.
You gotta
So
do
that
it.
helps me keep to my launch timelines at least.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. Put that date on it. And you're like, look,
Yep.
now I'm pushing myself to get it done. And if I don't get it done, I'm that much further ahead than I would
Yeah.
have because without the date, you start procrastinating, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Without the date, you're really like you're a boat without a rudder.
Gotcha.
You're just kind of floating
Yeah.
and without any guidance. So the dates and like I mean a lot of what we do is not brain surgery, so like if
Right.
we have to move the date because something happened, that's okay. It can be done, but
Yeah.
don't get into the habit of that. Like set a date and stick to it. And
Yeah.
even if no one shows up, go ahead and do the workshop and just you record it because then it's content that you have and
Exactly.
it's recorded and you've done it.
Yeah.
You've done it once. It's way easier to do it the second time once you've done it once.
Right. Yeah. I like it. I like it. So talk to me a little bit about how you view or how you manage the problems.
How I manage the
The
problem.
the problem, the things that come at you. So, the situations, I call them opportunity tests and challenges now. I used to say it's a
Right.
problem, and now I'm looking for somebody to help me. Woe is me. So the setbacks, the defeats, the not getting the results that you wanted this time or whatever. How do you manage the problem?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's the way you phrase it. I think
Okay.
it's it's more of a what did I learn from?
Yeah.
Or how can I do better next time?
Yeah.
Or what are the opportunities going forward? Um there's a lot of failing forward
I like it.
in entrepreneurship and in owning your own business. So like if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
There we go. I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like no one's an overnight success with like one shot out the gun. Like I mean it just doesn't happen. So
No.
like it's things are gonna, like is your first launch gonna be 6 figures? Maybe. But if it's not, then what'd you learn?
Right.
What can you do better? Did you like it? Did you want to do something different? Did you want to try something new? Like it's always the thing with I think with business that people need to understand is that the end goal isn't really the end goal. The end goal is just a milestone.
Yeah.
So, getting to the launch is just the milestone to the next launch, or the milestone to the next offer, or, the milestone to the next year's, goals and desires or whatever. So it's flow, it's fluid.
Yeah.
And you never stop learning, never stop, being curious, and never stop smiling, and you're
Yeah.
going to be fine.
I like it. I like it. I love being happy. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I love to laugh. I love being happy. And I look at it, I think it's great to have the idea, look, problems come and go, test challenges, opportunities when you look at them and you go, all right, cool, this happened, but guess what? I didn't die, I didn't get hurt. What can I do to come out of this? Or what can I do to move on to the next level? Because for some reason it's coming at you, right? And so,
Yeah.
you can only control how you
And
react.
exactly. So what can be learned? What can be done differently? What systems can be put in place
Yeah.
to better handle this? What do I need to hire somebody? Do I need to not do that again?
Yeah.
Not do that particular thing again. Like, just what's next though?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so that's in the past already. That's
Right.
done.
Yeah.
Right? So what's next? Like, what's the next challenge? What's the next adventure?
Yeah, I like it. So that's a good one to leave here or not to go to next. So talk to me a little bit about, you have your podcast, you have your coaching. Talk to me a little bit about your podcast and the different tools that you use to help people, how they can connect with you, how they can learn from you.
Hmm. Yeah, so my podcast is called Kickstart the Conversation. It's all about leads, lists, and leverage. So it's all really about business building, and being able to connect with JV partners, and using your lists in different ways. Um, and and it's really about being curious, right?
Yeah.
Kickstart the conversation, right? Like, what
Yeah.
can you ask? What can you learn about your ideal client? What can you learn about your business partners or your potential business partners? What can you learn about doing masterminds or doing events, or any of those kinds of things? And then for people that want to learn more about maybe whether a quiz is right for their business, you can go to quizformybiz.com and take the quiz there, and
Yeah.
that'll take you through some of the gaps that people tend to have in their client attraction system, and how to fix those.
Yeah, I like it.
So depending on the gap that you might have, there's some solutions for you. And then if that's something that you want to discuss further, you can hop on a call, and we can chat further.
I like it. I like it. What do you have coming up next?
Next, actually, I've been traveling quite a bit over the last 4 months. So next is a month of not traveling,
Okay.
and just connecting with some great people that I've met over the last 4 months, and continuing those collaborations, and then actually launching a new high ticket offer. So
Okay.
that's what's coming up next for me. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. You're a big people person?
I am to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I get to my limit, and then I need to, like, just go back to my house and just not talk to anyone for like a
Right.
month.
Yeah.
I'm at that point where I'm just like, okay, that's it. No more people. I
Yeah.
live on my own, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So I'm now, going back into hibernation mode a little bit.
Right. I have a friend of mine. She said that after her divorce, she's been single so long that if she remarried, the person would have to go home at 9 o'clock and come back and start all over tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of like that. Yeah, I'm like, I like my space. I like my quiet. I love going out and, like, flying someplace new and having an experience and meeting new people. And then I love flying home and getting into my bed
Yeah,
and just vegging out.
I love it. So, is there anything you like to leave the audience with today?
Just just again, just be curious. Ask questions before you offer solutions. And ask with intention,
Yeah,
because people know when you're asking just for surface.
right.
Ask with intentions to really, connect and help people, and you're gonna help your business a lot. Even if that person isn't your ideal client, they probably know people that are.
Yeah. I think that's huge, right? So ask with intention, because now you're asking, you're finding out things, and hey, you know what? I can't help you. It's all about connecting to other people. So here's who I can
Yeah,
connect you with. And I think that's something
exactly.
that people don't realize either, is that, you know, this whole world is about connecting, right? If we're
Hmm.
going to create the picture that's in our mind, we've got to connect with it. And people use it for the wrong things. You know, they use it, well, I just need to connect with this person to get a job. But you know what? It's bigger than that. You know, you can
Yes.
change lives, and I know you're changing lives. So I think that's awesome. Like I said, you are a momentum shifter. I said that at the beginning, and you proved that throughout this interview. And I really encourage everybody to go back and listen to this interview again, because she dropped some really good nuggets on how to change your life. Not only that, she's going to help you build your business through using quizzes, which, if you ask yourself, what am I dealing with right now? You know, that's going to be part of the whole process. So if you really
Yes.
want to elevate your business, if you really want to change things for yourself, go to Quizzes for My Business, right? Or did I say
It's
that?
Quiz for My Biz.
Quiz for My Biz.
Yeah,
.com.
quizformybiz.com.
Quizformybiz.com. I like it. I love it. Here we go with the queen of quizzes, the quiz queen, Catharine O'Leary. Thank you very much for joining me. You truly are a momentum shifter. I've enjoyed this interview. Looking forward to continuing to build this relationship.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for the Momentum Shift, a show designed to get you inspired, get you moving so you can get results. Why? Because we want you to live in the impossible. We know you've got some greatness inside of you, and you just got to take a quiz to find out what your pain point is to elevate your life. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Quizformybiz.com. Thank you for joining me. Take care.
Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become. I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in their house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You've got to get into the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.